All right, Bart. We're going to call this one Anatomy of the AR. Just wanted to go into some more specifics with you. I've got some talking points and just kind of go over the whole system as a whole and let you know the history, the breakdown, the components, and everything as a whole. That way you get a better understanding for everything as a system. So some key talking points, we're going to go over the components as the upper, the lower, the barrels, bolt carrier group, trigger group, and then of course the furniture. But first, let's get down into a little bit of history. The history is the AR. First, it started off as the AR-15. It's a refined system that Colt and FN have refined over 50 years with the military. They've been developing the M4 and the M16 for our military, and they've been doing a pretty damn good job. It's served our government and our military well for over 50 years. So they've pretty much figured out, what works. I adhere to it with my builds, and basically it's a lot of being able to take components out of one, throw them into another, and they work vice versa. You can, take a bolt carrier group out of this one, throw it into that one, take a trigger group out of this one, throw it into that one, and they should function no problem. And that's basically the part of mil spec that I like. There's other, technical parts of that technical data package that are stupid, like trigger group or the trigger guards and stuff like that. So other than that, let's go way back though. Eugene Stoner, he's the guy that invented it. It's the Stoner system. You've heard people talk about it. He worked for Armalite. They actually built airplane parts, and he invented the AR-10, believe it or not. It's funny. He started with the actual 308, it was the AR-10. It was chambered in 7.62 NATO. And right around the Vietnam War, our Army, our Navy, was actually looking for a smaller caliber firearm. They wanted more rounds so the troops, in a lighter package, so the troops could carry more rounds. So they actually settled on the AR-15 M16. This right here is pretty much an M4 right here. It's a 16-inch. This is pretty much what the troops carry. Right here, it's got a four power fixed, poor man's ACOG. I can't afford a $1,300 optic, so it's a Lucid fixed 4 power. But that's pretty much my pseudo M4. It's not exact, but it's close enough. So that's pretty much what our military has issued right there. What you see right here is my SPR build, special purpose rifle. We've got an 18-inch 416 stainless barrel with a mid-length gas system, and it's running in an upper and lower air precision with a 1:4 vortex, variable scope. And then you've got my 308 over here. This is my 308 DPMS pattern, LR 308, 18-inch barrel, rifle length gas system. I've got this set up for my DMR, and I'm running a 3-15 SWFA Super Sniper scope on that bad boy, first focal point. This thing's heavy. This thing's like 12 pounds whenever it's all loaded up. And so, I mean, sky's the limit. These things are very, very modular. And I'm going off in a rabbit trail, so I'm sorry. But anyways, back to that. So this really didn't get a fair shake as far as I'm concerned. The military didn't like the idea of it because they axed the M14, as you probably know, and they ended up going with the M16. Fast forward about 40-something years, and then Eugene Stoner started working for Knight's Armament. And Knight's Armament, Reed Knight, I forget his dad's name, or maybe it was Reed Knight was the guy, one of the Knights anyways, Knight's Armament, and they came up with the SR-25, which is what we know as the SAS, the semi-automatic sniper system. The SR-25, Mark 11, and I think there's another name for it too, but I'm not too sure. And our military uses it to this day. So it's funny how it's came full circle and our military is actually using it again today. So anyways, let's go down the list here. All right, let's start with the barrel components, all right? Barrel length. I went with an 18-inch barrel. In my book, 18s are perfect. 16s are good. 16s are about as low as I like to go. 14 and a half, Okay, once you get down below that, you start losing muzzle velocity, especially with the 5.56. Now 308, I think you can get all the way down to like 12 inches or something like that with a 308 before you really start losing velocity with a 308. But again, it's all about bullet drop too. With the 18s, for me, it's muzzle blast as well. With the 16-inch with a 308, the thing is like a freaking behemoth with a flamethrower. So I like an 18-inch barrel with 308s. They're just perfect. 20s are kind of ungainly, you know. They're really long. I mean, they serve their purpose. Shoot, you can go 22-inch barrel too. But for some reason, I just love an 18-inch barrel. They're perfect. As far as material, we've got you have 4140 steel, which is more of your commercial or your lower grade, and then you have 4150 chrome moly steel, which is more of what the military uses. It has a little less sulfur in it, and I think you can use it can get a little hotter than your 4140 steel. Then you have what's known as a stainless steel, which is more with your kind of match, which is like this one right here. This is 416 stainless steel. So you can go with a 416 stainless, a 316 stainless, which is even higher grade, more money. I want to say Bravo Company, I believe, uses a 410 stainless, which is even more high grade. And I believe at one time, LaRue was using the LW50, which is one of the best, but I don't think they use that anymore, but some of those are still floating around. All right, so the way it works, though, with those three, match grade barrels, the stainless, it depends. Typically, you won't find that those are going to be chrome lined, and that is for accuracy purposes. You're going to be shooting like, you know, you're going to be shooting good quality ammo, non-corrosive ammo, usually your own loaded ammo. So you're not going to really need to have that chrome lining. You're going to want the accuracy. Whereas with these, so this one, I believe this one is not chrome lined. I think all of the other ones that I have are. The chrome lining, the reason they say it degrades accuracy is because it's not as consistent on the inside. But it does a hell of a good job of keeping the damn thing, you know, good and reliably able to clean it and away from corrosion whenever you use dirty ammo and stuff like that. And you'll find that with your chrome lined barrels will be a lot more with your military grade barrels and stuff like that. So you have a chrome lined barrel, and it's an 18-inch barrel, chrome lined barrel, mid-length gas system. All right, and that's next, gas system. All right, smallest to biggest, they have pistol length gas system, they have a mid-length gas system, they have a intermediate length gas system, and then they have a rifle length gas system. The intermediate length gas system, you really don't have to worry too much about. Really only Knights Armament uses that, and I think I heard that the new Smith & Wesson M&P10, their iteration of a 308 AR, I think they use like some type of intermediate gas system as well. One of the most popular with the 16s is going to be your carbine, which is shorter, but the mid-length is one of my favorites. The original design, Eugene Stoner, he designed it with a 20-inch barrel, I believe, with a rifle length gas system. So this is going to be more along the lines of your original design here. See how far out the gas system is. There's my gas block all the way out here on this one, way out here. See how close it is to the muzzle? Whereas your gas block is right here. See right there, it has a long way almost to the muzzle. And that's going to bring me to my next point. With these guns, since they are DI guns, like you were asking the other night when you were inquiring, the difference between the piston guns and the DI guns, it's all about dwell time. In order for the gun to cycle properly, smoothly, whatever you want to say, some guys, they like them over-gassed because it runs them reliably. It runs them the shit out of them, but it runs them reliably. Other guys want them to be ran just enough to where it runs them reliable, but if they ran, you know, some slower ammo, some, you know, not as hot ammo, that it would start jamming up on them. I personally I like to shoot a wider range of ammo. I like hotter ammo, you know, lighter ammo. That's another reason I like the mid-length gas system. You can shoot a wider range of ammo. You can shoot all the way down to your 149s, really low loaded stuff, all the way up to the 175 if you have your own hot loads. And it shoots it all pretty well. Whereas with your rifle length system, it's gonna really love the hot stuff, and it's going to shoot it well, and it's not going to, and you're going to feel it not as hard. Whereas it's the light stuff, you might have issues. So I went with the mid-length because you're going to get a lot wider range of ammo you'll be able to shoot with it. So that's what it's all about, is dwell time. And dwell time, basically your gas port where the gas block is, the further away you move your gas port from your action, the less dwell time. Is it less or more? I believe it's the less dwell time you have. So that gives you that, you see how that decreases that pressure. So there's a balance. That's your carbine up here. See how close that is there? That's where the gas is right there. It starts right there. And then this has a mid-length. It's a lot longer. All right. So you have the mid-length there. It's a really good combination. When I was shooting it, it was not giving me near the recoil impulse that a carbine system would give. It's a joy to shoot. All right, so much to talk about. So much to talk about. Okay. Bolt carrier. All right, we were talking about the bolt carrier. Bolt carrier group, remember I had that out and we broke it down and everything like that. Now with the bolt carrier group, forever, the military has used just typical 8620 steel for the bolt carrier. And then for the actual bolt, it's been 158 carpenter steel. I don't know why they use the two different ones. I think one's more brittle than the other. And because one is actually going in and out of these lugs and under more pressure, and whereas the carrier is actually just riding back and forth in here. Now, the thing about bolt carrier groups, especially right now with the AR world, there is an oversaturation of mom and pops popping up bolt carrier group galore. I mean, everybody, there are so many companies making bolt carrier groups. It's just ridiculous. I mean, if you have access to a CNC machine or whatever you call them, and blueprints to an AR-10 or AR-15 bolt carrier group, you're doing it. There's just so many. So what I try to look for, one of the things I try to look for is ISO 9000 certification. And like, that's no BS. That's like high grade military kind of contractor kind of stuff, where a lot of high tolerance adhere has to be done, where FN, LCAN, Trigicon, EOTech, a lot of your high military contractors go through a lot of that kind of stuff. And again, it goes back to like your Colt technical data package. They say to use the 8620 hardened steel for the bolt carrier at least, and then for the bolt at least the 158 carpenter steel. Now there is an upgrade with the bolt. They say 9310, which I did on yours, so it's a little bit better. It's a little bit harder. So your bolt is 9310 steel. Also, there's a newer steel out right now too. There's a company out, they have this, it's called a Reliable. They actually use S7 tool steel, and that's a really, really, really hard steel. And I've heard excellent reports on that. But only reports that I've heard. Okay. Now, as far as coating goes, there's a few coatings that you need to be aware of. Remember last night I was telling you about, I like the melanite. Mil-Spec, they just use regular phosphate. They've been using phosphate since Eugene Stoner's been making them, since he invented them. A decent upgrade, I wouldn't do it. But what they've been doing for many, many years is they make chrome bolt carrier groups. And here I am talking about it. Bolt carrier group. Bolt carrier group. This one's heavy. Bolt carrier group. That's an Aero Precision one. But so they've been doing phosphate bolt carrier groups for years, and they've been fine. The only problem is they don't have a high lubricity rating as these new melanite ones do. Another thing is nickel boron. We have nickel boron and Teflon, nickel Teflon. Now nickel Teflon is a lot better. It's expensive and only a few companies do it. The nickel boron is the more popular one, and I don't care for it too much because it's more of a coating and it's really bright and flashy. I've heard of it flaking, chipping, wearing off if it's not done right, and if it's ran hard after thousands of rounds and that kind of stuff. And I'm about longevity with these rifles because I like to run these rifles hard. So my personal favorite is, like I said, the melanite or nitride, black nitride, however you like to call it. Like I said, there's a dozen names for it out there. And there's a few different ways to do it too. Quench, polish, quench is the one that I seem to like, that I found. QPQ, a few different companies do it, and it really works out really well. Lightner and Wise, 80K Arms, Aero Precision, and just to name a few. All right, now what we have, so you're probably wondering what this thing is sticking out right here. This is what's known as your forward assist. Really never had the need for it. And the military, it's basically an old military holdover from mil-spec. One of the things I think mil-spec doesn't need. As you can see, I don't have one on some of my builds. What it is back in the day, they were having problems with when they were having dirty ammo. The bolt wouldn't go all the way forward. And so what they would do is there's, you know, it's a non-reciprocating charging handle. So like, unlike with like an AK or an SKS where you could just, you know, hit the charging handle to hit the bolt forward, you would actually have to jam that, and that would actually push your bolt forward. So that's what that is. That's your forward assist. Not really necessary. Some of my rifles have it, and some of them don't. Let's go over some other things here. Let's see, what do we got? All right, optics. So I showed you how I had this one here. This is the red dot that I'm giving you. This guy here has a nice one-piece mount from LaRue. It's got 20 MOA built into the mount. So it's got a 20 MOA slant, which means I've already off the top got 20 MOA of elevation for it. So it's an 18-inch barrel with a rifle length gas system. I've got a Atlas bipod in case I need to support it out front or anything like that. This thing's a beast. I painted it I think it was called Desert Brown or something like that. I can't really remember. Real pretty though, real pretty color. And see, that one wasn't forward, so actually I did have to use it. And then you have your dust cover. That's just your dust cover. Some people like to leave them open. I shut them up though. It just keeps dirt and grime out of the system. That's all. Just keeps the system closed. So that's my 308, by the way. This is my 308. The modularity, what's cool about these two is they're real modular. So you can pop these pins, take your upper, pop my pins, take my upper, switch them around. You can throw my upper on your lower, throw your upper on my lower. Same with these. Now these are 5.56, these are 7.62. So these won't switch with these, but the same calibers will with each other. What else? Let's see. This one here is basically your little brother. It's real similar to yours, but it's in 5.56. See, this is more old school here. This is what's known as the fixed, or they call it the A2 front sight. Whereas with you, I went with the stowaway folding sights because you're going to want to probably go with a variable scope like I have done. And you see I've stowed mine under. Mine flip under like yours do. All right. That's it for now. And wait, I know what. We need to go over your trigger. Your trigger, I went with a single stage ALG Defense, which is basically a Geisley trigger. Basically, the AR community has two different types of triggers. You got a single stage and a two stage. I kind of like the single stage. I used to like two stage triggers, but this thing, man, this thing breaks clean at about 4.5 pounds. Man, that thing is just wicked. And then the reset, it's audible. Check it out. Hear that? Dude. I mean, that's nice. So it's basically like a mil-spec trigger. It's ALG Defense. It's basically a mil-spec trigger with a trigger job. So I love it, man. I don't know, man. I'm really into these ARs, dude. I think you're gonna get into them too, man. Oh, if you ever need to, if you're ever at the range and you've got, you know, some dickwad, I'm just joking. You got some safety nut range officers that want you to show that the weapon is clear. Remember how I showed you about your bolt release? How when it locks back, the top is what shoots it forward. The bottom locks it back. So pull it all the way down. Like, so I'm just doing this to show you, but push that down. Now, that's your bolt's catched. So just slide that back up. Now the bolt is held back. So now, very carefully, lay it down, because you put too much pressure on that and it'll slide it forward. I've done it before. But if you need to, you know, lay it down, you know, cold range or something like that, and you must show that the weapon is clear, that's how you lock it back. Okay? And then when you're ready, pick it back up, insert the mag, push the top paddle, strip the new round off, threw it in. Your safety is right there. Of course, yeah, I wish we had a fun switch. If we ever get that 86 machine gun ban lifted, you'll be able to throw your lever backwards to the pew pew pew. But for now, pew pew pew. But that's safe. All right. So that's safe, and that's fire. Another thing about these is if it's unloaded and it's not cocked, or the hammer is not charged, the hammer's not cocked, it will not go in safe. Okay? So don't think it's broken if it won't go into safe and it's not loaded or anything like that. The gun must be. That's another cool thing about this, is it's a fast reloader. The mags drop free, which is pretty cool. The mags, you just push, they drop free, so you're ready to just grab another one. And I always slam them in and give it a good yank to make sure it caught, and then push you're ready. But yeah, so once that's in, again, remember, like I told you, it's the last round hold open. So I've shot. Last round. So yeah, dump it, pop your new one, forward, fire. That's it. That's all there is, Echo 2. All right, man. Probably done bored you to death now. No, I'm just kidding. I gave you a lot of information. This is a lot. This is what I've learned over the 5 years that I've been doing this. And I don't know, I'm a little scatterbrained, so I'm sorry if I confused you or put you to sleep. But I just wanted to pull some of the guns out and compare them to yours and let you see the world that you're getting into. Happy shooting. And once you get this bad boy, go out and shoot it, take some pictures, and let me see it, man. All right. Cheers.